the 6-step assessment process. As you know, assessment is a process of gathering information, processing that information, and interpreting that information to see how the information that we gathered can help us to understand what the learners know or don't know if they have reached their outcome. So that gathering of information is a proof of learning and determines if the learner is performing to his or her full potential. If we look at the assessment process, there's a 6-step assessment process. It's a cycle that we use every time that we need to plan our assessment. The first step is to plan the assessment. We actually discussed this planning section in the previous video that goes about the planning of assessment, the 5W, the H and 5W formula that we can use to plan. So I'm not going to focus on that in this video specifically. When we look at the second step, that is the gathering of evidence, this means that we need to choose the different assessment methods that we're going to use. Is it going to be a teacher assessment, a peer group assessment, or self-assessment? We must then actually decide on the most effective form of assessment for this specific task that we want to do, and that will be the way in which the evidence is gathered. We must then realize that different forms of assessment may be more suitable for different subjects. You will not do an oral exam, for instance, in a biology class, so we must definitely make sure that the type of assessment fits the subject that we are teaching. The first step is to evaluate proof of learning. We now need to gather information to show us how the learner has been learning in the module. Do they understand the content, and have they reached their outcomes? We have to develop different assessment instruments to assess for evidence. We cannot use the same assessment instruments all the time. We must make sure that that the different learners can get the opportunity to be assessed in a way that they also will be able to do well, and not always just the same way. There are different ways in which, or different instruments that we can use to assess, like the matrices, grading scales, criteria-based assessment checklist, or just the normal marking memorandums as we use in tests. Then the next step is to record the learner's performance. So now when the learner has done the assessment or completed the assessment, we need to have proof that he has been assessed. That's why we need to have some kind of mark book to record the marks in. Nowadays, we do it much more electronically, but you will always have some kind of mark book in the classroom in any way. Remember that it's not only formal assessment tasks that need to be assessed. If you look at informal records or informal learner performance, that they should also be assessed in the classroom. If you give them assignments to do in the classroom activities, you need to make yourself or indicate on some piece of paper or wherever you would like to do that the person has take part in the class activities and that they are participating in the informal assessment activities as well. In the end, we must realize that all assessments, formal and informal, must be recorded. Not only is it for a record for the parents and for the learner, but also for yourself. If you can have evidence of the ways in which you assess the learners and show them that you have continuously assessed them, then in the end, you will have the proof if something goes wrong and the learner or a parent is not happy with what's happening in your classroom. Um, then we need to report on assessment. That is very important for school children, since their parents, most of them are still underage, and their parents need to um, made aware of what's going on in the class. So they must either get a report card, or um, you must send them home the tests for them to sign. So usually we use the 7-point national code system, which are associated with percentages. So that's A, B, C, or D. Um, but there are other ways that we assess as well. I know the foundation phase learners are being assessed, or the reports are getting home is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or I think it goes up to a 7. But it's a different way. It's not ABCs, but in the end we are reporting whatever we are assessing to the parents and the learners. Both formative and summative assessment tasks may be part of this report that we give the parents. That's why we will usually have a semester or a term mark, and then an exam mark, and then in the end the final mark will be a average between the two of them. Okay, so and the last one is to review and follow up with an intervention. Again, we have said this a few times already. To review or to reflect on what have been done in the classroom in your assessment activities helps the teacher to change and to update the information and make sure that they get better evidence from the learners when they assess them the next time, and to actually think about the skills and values that they need to evaluate, and make sure that the way in which they assess them, the assessment methods, is the best way in which those skills and values can be evaluated. And then also the intervention part, it won't help if you just sit and think for yourself, oh, okay, this was not a good opportunity, assessment opportunity. You actually now need to make a plan to better it for the next time.